Hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Star Citizen Addicts Anonymous. I'm Nikki Batgirl D'Angelo and this is episode 50. I'm going to try to keep it brief today because I have an interview with Ben Lesnick at the end of the news section and it went a little bit longer than I thought it was going to go, but he had a lot to say. I'll give you one little hint, or I'll give you one little foreshadowing into something he says. You know how we're having those concept ship sales? Well, the next one won't be the Carrack, but it should be the one after that. He also alludes to the fact of the Herald being a single-seater, and that's where I'll leave it. You're going to have to listen to what Ben has to say. So let's go back to just the period of time that was right after CitizenCon. We had the 890 jump and the Cutlasses go on sale, and we blew right through the $57 and $58 million stretch goals. Because of that, there was no time to vote on another ship. So what Chris Roberts did was he gave every one of us 10,000 UEC. And that UEC can be used to buy things from Voyager Direct. And then he cautioned us not to do it yet. That there was going to be a lot more things added to the Voyager Direct shop for us to purchase and use on the ships that we now have in the Arena Commander module. So I implore you guys, hang out, wait, let that UEC just sit there until after they release some of those cool weapons. And Ben does allude to that a little bit inside of my interview. During recording, I missed that there were actually two ships that we unlocked. This is the MIS, the Endeavour-class research platform and hospital vessel. It kind of completes two pieces of two different mechanics. The search and rescue mechanic, this is where the Cutlass Red will bring you after you are collected from whatever wreckage that you're in, and use the auto dock and then bring you back to the hospital vessel to be revived. The second piece would be, this is what the closing out of the exploration mechanic will be. The Aquilas, or possibly the MIS, the Freelancer DIR, or possibly the Carracks go out there and find jump points. And after you find a jump point, the system has to be scanned and explored. So this is the vessel that's going to complete that mechanic. The second ship is pretty straightforward. It is a repair vessel, and it's going to have all the parts and pieces that are needed to repair a ship out in space. However, it's not something that's going to actually bring a ship back to manufacturer's condition. There may be a ship for that later on down the line, but this is something that will be part of the repair and salvage mechanic. So there you have it, two ships that we unlocked during the $57 and $58 million stretch goals. That's pretty much two big things that I can go over. There's some other things that we're going to talk about too. Lore Builder continues. David Haddock and his crew are looking for us to now partake in naming the weapons in the universe, handheld and mounted on ships and cars and other vehicles, and then giving a description of the company and a history of it. So those of you that took part in the last one of these, where it was government, and before that where it was booze, thank you very much for taking part in helping to structure the universe that we're going to be playing in. I sat down with Ben this week and I had a long interview with him about ship design, which we're going to have a much updated design process discussion from, I think it will be Travis Day, either on Friday or early next week. I saw something in the schedule saying it might be delayed till next week, but that should be coming up this weekend, early next week. And they're going to discuss with us the pipeline. I talked to Ben about variants and how they might be a little bit different from each other but share the same components. We talked about the ability to upgrade one to the other, about different weapons and different cargo modifications. Let's just say modifications in general. And then we talked about prices of ships and the quantity or percentages of ship types in the universe. And that's what I have for you next. This is Nikki Batgirl D'Angelo, and I have Ben Lesnick with me today to answer a couple of questions on ship sales and variants. Hello, Ben. How are you today?
Hey, Batgirl. I'm not doing too badly. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. It's always excellent when I have an opportunity to talk to you folks over there in Santa Monica. So I did a couple of more videos, and we looked at pretty much ship prices and the type of ships that are available right now. And then we also looked a little bit deeper into the Cutlass, and you were amazing to actually get together and we'll get together questions that were in one of the threads and have them all answered. Was that answered by Travis Day?
Travis and I sat down to answer those together, but basically, I can't say I was amazing because it was backers who put together the question thread. But I sat down with Travis and I went through everything, and then I answered the thread myself.
Well, I find it amazing that so early in the development of a game, you guys are so open and so transparent as to the way that things are getting done there. So, okay, you answer.
Oh, no, we try to be, however possible.
Well, the first piece I want to talk about is actually going to be what seems like a restructuring, but it's actually more of a designating each different design studio to do what they were set up to do. So if I give you what my understanding is, could you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Sure.
So my understanding is that it seems like you've broken the design studios up into specific functions, like Squadron 42 being developed over in Manchester, which was what its purpose always was.
That's right.
The Persistent Universe, a.k.a. Star Citizen, being put together by the folks over in Austin.
Austin and Behavior in Canada.
Yes, and I was going to get to that. And then you guys being part of the design group, but also where you, Behavior, and the other design studios are feeding assets into those other two places to actually get those two products done on time.
That's correct?
Somewhat right?
It is, yes. A lot of production has moved out here to Santa Monica recently. We have the ship pipeline, the component pipeline, but also the project leads. Chris wants people he can trust around him to oversee the other studios. When we first kicked off the project, the idea was going to be that we had a small strike team here in Santa Monica and the full team in Austin, and Chris would go between the two places. He'd spend 2 weeks one, 2 weeks in the other, with the team here coming out to Austin to help as needed. Things have developed in a vastly different scale at this point, so Chris is not able, we have half a dozen studios around the world now, so Chris is not able to go and spend 2 weeks at each one a year.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot of our team leads moved here, myself included. That's part of the reason why I came out here.
So what does that mean for the studio? Like, obviously Chris and who are the people? Like Alex would be like the in charge of production?
Yeah, Alex is executive producer on the game, so yes, he's in charge of production. And
Zach is the producer of the Persistent Universe. Is that what he's doing?
I'll be honest, I don't know who Zach is.
Oh, not Zach. Who's in charge? Who did you guys hire to do the Persistent Universe?
Oh, Tony Zervek.
Tony Zervek. Sorry, I'm sorry. Okay, so he would be like one of the main people over in Austin, then, right?
Yes, I mean he's extremely creative. He's someone Chris worked with years ago, who Chris trusts implicitly to make the Persistent Universe a reality. And he's definitely much more on the design side than kind of the running of the studio.
So with ship development moving out to you, does that mean that a lot of those wonderful artists and designers are now going from Austin to where you guys are? Or are they working remotely still in Austin?
It's going to depend. A lot of day-to-day artists are staying where they are.
Okay.
It's more leads that they are going to be positioning here in Santa Monica. Although we have had some of our top people move out here recently. Saint Bien is here in Santa Monica now. For Stefan, the guys are really the heart and soul of Star Citizen.
Now, when we look at the next great starship, we see the couch filled with the Chris's and with David, and already we're starting to see some attrition, but in a good way with some people, like David moving on to, I guess, Lucas or Disney, whichever one it went. Chris has recently left, and other people, which I know we can't talk about. What could you say to reassure the people that are starting to see these things happen? Not to speak directly to why people left, but where the company is still going. And when attrition like that happens, does it set the design phase back? Like, this is a long question, I know, because I know that David was very big with the Mustang, and then it got passed on to somebody else when he left, right?
Yep, Carmack took the Mustang, finished it up.
So you get the whole gist of the question. What could you say to reassure the people that things are business as usual?
I mean, personnel changes are a fact of life in this sort of project. It would be great to have the same group of people throughout the whole thing, but it just never happens. People leave for all sorts of reasons, and I can't speculate on any of them because it wouldn't be fair to them.
Right.
You see people talking on the forums, and you want to just go out there and say, no, this is what really happened. But it's in everyone's best interest that that part still remains not as open.
Right. Especially since you have Legal sitting 2 feet away from you.
Okay, well, Legal's toast now, so we can trust him.
Okay.
No, but it's... I have not worked with anybody here who I would say they were terrible. I don't want to say things behind their back or anything like that. Everybody's been great. Staffing changes are to make the game better, honestly.
Okay.
It's a result of us saying, okay, this process isn't working. We need to change it this way, and here's an unfortunate side effect.
Okay. So business as usual. It doesn't set back the game. It's still on track, and we're still going forward, and we're going to see the releases come out when they're done.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't even say business as usual. I'd say it's the process of improving business.
Okay. So some of the improvements that were made over the last few months are actually the way the pipeline gets put together. What can you say right now to the process by which a ship gets designed? Can you walk us through that at this point?
Well, I will hand that off to Travis, who's going to be walking everyone through that on a Friday.
Okay.
A fantastic comic post he's written that
Awesome.
basically tells you how you go from an idea in my head to a game ship in the universe. It's a very interesting one. We're looking forward to putting that out. I will say that the fantastic thing about the ship pipeline, it's not even that it's moved, it's separated out. When we first started this, we had a single art pipeline, and we said, if I wanted a piece of flair for the hangar, it would have to get in line behind 5 300i variants that were being worked on by 2 artists. Now we have a ship pipeline that's fully up and functional. We have a component pipeline coming online. We have a character pipeline coming online. It's just letting us do a lot more without that many more resources. I mean, we certainly have a lot more people working on these things, but it's also a great increase in efficiency.
Okay. Another piece of it was this process by which they take, I guess, design variants now. The 325A was just released, and people are talking about it as being a skin over the 300i because it shares components and doesn't really have that uniqueness to it that it had prior to this being implemented. I don't see that. Is there a way that you could address that?
Actually, well, let me go right out and say we're not really happy with how the 325A came out last week. Okay. We have to go back to the drawing board on that. You're going to see in 13.2 stuff like the unique targeting system and systems we mentioned that should have been there and weren't. So we're fixing that particular example.
Yeah, and that was the next question. Well, that was going to come a little bit later, but I'll walk right into that one. Some of these ships, of course, you talked about the 3 Cutlasses having 3 distinctly different hulls, and it is 3 distinctly different, or maybe 4 distinctly different hulls. I'm not sure about that with the 300 series. At least 3. The 300, the 325 is a little bit thicker armor and a little bit more, right?
I think the 325 is the same base model as the 300.
Okay.
I think the 315 has a different tail.
Right. It has the bigger scoop and the bigger. But the other piece was that in the beginning it was stated that the 300i couldn't be made into a 325A because of the hull armor. Is it possible to add that on as a component?
So we haven't talked much about armor at this point, which is intentional. It gives us some room to balance.
I know you keep saying that, so I didn't mean to bring it up like to put you on the spot.
Oh, no worries. Yeah. So each ship will have a base armor stat. Think of it in D&D terms, and it's actually much more complex. Each area of the ship has a different armor stat. But say the Cutlass Blue is a 5 and the Cutlass Red is a 6. That'll be permanent. There'll be no way to go from one to the other. Okay. But there'll also be additive armor, similar to Privateer. You buy some tungsten and it adds 20 centimeters of armor to place in your ship.
Okay.
And of course, it'll impact your maneuvering and your ability to fly around, your speed, and all sorts of other things people will complain about once they do that. But
so with this new way that they're doing variants, just to go back to the original question, are they going to have the uniqueness? Like if they're sharing components on paper, will like cockpits and different features be different, or will they share the same ones?
No, I mean, the goal for the variants is to have them be as different as possible within the same line of spacecraft. Okay. Not because we want to lock people into one particular role, but because we want to give you 4 starting points. As we, you can take any colors and take it in any direction as you want. The goal is we use the same resource to have 4 starting options instead of 1.
Okay. Now, it was said either on an ATV or maybe by you here, I can't remember which one it was, is that by the time 1.0 comes out, you hope to have all the single-seaters in the game. Yes, now there's new single-seaters, so that's kind of putting that back?
Well, again, I wouldn't include the Herald.
Yeah.
But it is the goal to get all the Aurora Hornet 300i variants in there, as well as the, hopefully for 1.0, the Avenger. I know they're very close at the moment.
Yeah, that was if you read through the 325A introduction comments, you can see that there's a good portion of people that really want that Avenger in-game.
We know it too. It's a priority. It'll happen in the near future.
Cutlass was announced before the Avenger, though, right? So they are coming out in order.
Essentially, yeah, although Cutlass isn't flyable yet. So you will fly the Avenger before you fly the Cutlass.
Okay. So are we waiting until version 1.0 for Avenger, or is that just one thing that you're going to bring out when it's done?
I will say that we have scheduled the Avenger through the ship pipeline. We've scheduled the Avenger variants later down the line. So that there is a point. I can look at a calendar and say, okay, here's when the Avenger is supposed to be flyable. And I can look at a calendar and say, here is when 1.0 is supposed to come out. Theoretically, those should happen in that order.
Okay.
It's just a matter of reality meeting that fact.
Okay.
But I mean, that's one of the great things with the modular development is if the ship team keeps absolutely on schedule with everything, gets the Avenger out exactly as they hope to, we can still have it out without having any impact from V1.0. If 1.0 is delayed or comes early, it won't impact the Avenger.
Okay. Now, there's some people in real deep for how much that they've spent on the game so far. We know that there's people that spent for the completionist package, which is in the... It's a lot of money, right? So
yeah, I got to meet one of our wing commanders the other day. They came to have lunch with Chris. It was a lot of fun to actually meet one of those people in the flesh.
Yeah, I mean, they really are just people that support the game. They're not addicted. They're not fanatical. They're just people that believe in the game and the way it's working, the way it's progressing. But, we've had people deep into it, and the return on investment so far is Arena Commander. I think Arena Commander is actually pretty fun, and how far it's come since it's been released is actually pretty good. We have our porpoising of it where something gets released, you come down, and then it gets tweaked, and it goes back up again in the way it works. My question here is, a lot of the ships seem to be, like the concept ships, seem to be geared towards the player universe, which is probably 18 months away, if not 24 months away. And what we're doing right now is being able to play in Arena Commander and Racing, and although we do have some wonderful ships in that range, there aren't a lot of them being introduced that people could jump into within the next 6, 8, or 12 months. Is there a reason so many ships have to be made for the player universe, or is that part of Squadron 42?
Well, it's a variety of things. I mean, the first point is that Arena Commander is not the finished game, and we want to get across the fact that we all know internally we are looking way beyond Arena Commander right now. I mean, you've seen how long it has taken to get just the AC ships online. If we're going to have a salvage mechanic up and running in, I'll say 12 months rather than 18, right. Then we need to kick it off right now. it would be very, very easy for us to say, okay, Arena Commander's the game now. We're just going to build fighters and fighters and fighters and racers. And
that would be crazy. You're right.
Sell people the stuff for this tech demo. That's not what we're about. We're creating a universe, and our ships should reflect that.
Good. I like that answer because it is good. I'm looking at my billing and subscription page, and it scares the bejesus out of me. Never look. Yeah, and that's what I tell people: don't ever look at it. But I had to, and it's a scary thing to look at when I do it for the show. And what I'm looking at now is there are some really unique and intriguing ships that people are voting on over the right now, from the salvage ship that we just saw with the reclaimer to the hospital. I guess it's on a barge. The hospital ship.
It's a hospital ship. Yeah, it's a science ship that can be converted into a hospital ship. Yeah,
to the repair ship, deep space fighter, and they're very intriguing and very. Like, the minute I see those things, I know that they're going to look amazing. Last year, we had a lot of these ships offered to us to vote on also. And we're just now seeing the concepts of those going up for sale. The way that you're doing the pipeline now, is that going to reduce the time from announcement, voting on, and then releasing the concepts?
It will, actually. In fact, the hospital ship that was voted on is already having some rough sketches done. The pipeline is going to improve pretty much everything about ships in that respect. It'll still take a bunch of revisions to get them just right and working, but it won't be years.
Okay. On the outside doing the show, I don't have access to a lot of the numbers that you do. So when I look at it, I see a lot of the people that vote on these ships being the dedicated backers that have been around for a while, the people that have put a lot of money into the game. You shared a number with me before the show. It was the number of ships that were considered the starter ships, which are the Aurora. We don't have the Mustang for sale yet in the 300 series. What was that number?
63%.
Okay. So for those people that have bought a ship, a lot of them, a great deal of them, are still waiting for the game to come out. They haven't bought into the Arena Commander Pass. Is that correct?
That's right, yes.
All right. So I had a question before, and that number kind of makes me think twice now about asking it. Are you going to be bringing more things out to attract to attract more backers into the game, or are you going to wait for there to be a game and just work with the people you have now? Because it's a hard question to ask because I'm not trying to put you on the spot. It seems to be that we're catering to the people that are in the game, have spent money, and are willing to spend more. And I don't see those other ships, which we have the Mustang coming out real soon, that are catering to the people that aren't in the game yet that we want to draw in.
Well, first of all, our philosophy is that design should drive the game, not marketing. So we're never going to have a situation where we say, oh, we've run the numbers and we'll get X million more dollars if we build this ship instead of the construction one that we think is going to be cool in the persistent universe. So that just won't happen to start with.
Okay.
Certainly as we get bigger and bigger, we do like to look at it and say, okay, well, maybe there should be a third or a fourth starter ship option. And we included that in the poll to see if it was what our existing backers would like. It's one we don't think is absolutely necessary right now, but if it becomes necessary, it's something we could do.
The only reason I wanted that one is I want that one ship that you talked about, the Buccaneer, to be built.
Well, yeah, I mean, the pirate should have a light fighter at some point. So we'll see what happens.
All right. That's why I always ask that question to you, because the minute I heard the name of that ship, I just wanted to own it based on the name. And it just seems to keep getting put asunder. Every time we have a vote, people say, nope, we don't need that. So, pretty cool.
I came close to making the Herald the Buccaneer, and then someone overruled me, so.
Oh, that's not good. I like the Herald. It makes sense for the way that communications are going to move from one place to another. All right, so the next piece of it is there's an update at some point coming out to Voyager Direct. And it's going to allow us to start buying weapons for in I guess we're going to earn UEC. Chris seeded us with 10,000 UEC, and we're going to be able to buy some weapons in Voyager Direct to put on our ships. Is that something that we're going to see before version 1.0?
It's dependent on our component pipeline.
Okay.
We're working with a couple new outsourced people that we're whipping into shape at the moment. But it's something that it's not going to be a pitter patter of individual guns. It's going to be just suddenly a flood.
Okay.
Once we get that up and running.
You know, you have all those weapons that were designed during the next great starship too. They were pretty cool. So, is there anything else that you? I guess you would announce that on ATV. Like a lot of us that do buy the ships, we're waiting on the Carrack. Can you give us an idea of how soon we might see the concept sale? Is it a month away, a few weeks away?
I can't put a date on it. I will say it's not the next concept sale, but the one after that.
Okay, good. That's good. That gives many of us that are waiting for it time to save for it. And that's the big one. I think that's going to be one of the bigger ships sales that you have in the future.
People seem excited. I think it should be good.
Well, you know, the way that one was described with the med bay and the extra fuel and, you know, anyone that wants to do long-range exploration is looking towards that ship. In your mind, since you do a great deal of the design, the thought process behind the ships, would you be able to, before we end this interview, give the difference between what the Carrack is about and what the Aquila is about?
Well, I can talk to sort of our design process for variants.
You can't talk about the differences?
No, I can talk about it, but it's just one thing we like to do is premiere an idea with a variant. In this case, in fact, you've seen it with the cutlass. We introduced the medical cutlass, and reaction is great to that. So we built it into the larger medical ship we wanted to do.
Okay.
And it's the same with the in fact, you've seen it with the Constellation. We did the luxury variant of Constellation, and then we did the luxury ship as 890 as we spec'd out that aspect of gameplay. It's the same with the Aquila to the Aquila to the not Herald, the
Carrack.
Carrack. So the Carrack is just the fully featured, dedicated for this role ship. It's bigger.
So is it grown?
It's actually fairly compact.
Okay, good. Because it's supposed to be somewhere around 60 to 90 meters. I think it was like 60 meters.
It's Constellation size right now.
Okay, good. That's good to know. I say way too much because I had a list of questions we asked them, and there's a couple that I threw out because of our before the conversation. I guess a lot of the questions I have left are going to be answered as you start talking about FPS and what's going to be going on in PAX Australia this week.
Yep, you'll be hearing a whole lot starting Friday about FPS.
Okay. So I guess that's it for today. I know that you give me a lot of opportunity to talk to you, and I will hit you up again each week as much as you let me. Thank you so much for talking to me today, Ben.
Oh, not a problem. Happy to do it.
Thanks. CIG being so open and honest with us and transparent and taking the time to do interviews with people like myself and others in the community is what separates them from the rest of the development community. I am a firm believer that they are 100% being honest with us and at the same time trying their best to not just make the best damn space simulator ever, but to also incorporate in the ideas that we have. And sometimes they cross and they don't. And that might, and take for instance, the 325A coming out. I did a review of it this past week, and it was one of the first reviews I've ever done. The 325A review I did last year was very hyped. I really liked it, and I contrasted it against the Avenger. Well, this year, the Avenger is still waiting to come out, and many people are dying for it, but the 325A was released. One of the things that immediately became apparent was it wasn't the ship that we thought we bought. So they're looking at this ship wholeheartedly to make design changes and to fix the problems that were on it to make it better for us. So these are some of the things that I think we are finding different in this game than other games. They don't just go in it with a predetermined, this is what you're going to get and we're not going to change it. They also take ideas from us. And there are many others, like the cockpit of the Freelancer, the way the back ramp of the Freelancer opens, and there's so many things that I can talk about. For those of you that haven't been around for the last year, that you'd see that they really do take what we say wholeheartedly and try their best to make things better. It's all of us making this space simulator at this point, not just CIG, but each and every one of us that is back so far. All right, that's the show for this week, and I'm going to do some maintenance right now. The first thing I want to do is thank my latest 2 patrons, Shigo Kierndo, and if I don't pronounce your name right, I am sorry, and Leith Vodane. You two have pushed me over the $50 mark and reached that next goal I've had. So now essentially all of my extra internet costs are paid for doing the show. The next piece I want to get to is I want to push up to $100 a show, and that's only for the 4 Star Citizen Addicts Anonymous shows a month. You could donate or not donate. All I ask is that you watch and comment and give feedback that helps me get better. If you do want to be a patron of the show, head out to patreon.com/Batgirl, and you could donate as little as $1 a month or $1 a show if you choose. If you want to just give one flat donation, you can go to starcitizenaa.com and click on the PayPal button at the top right. So I currently have 3 contests going. The Hanger Flare contest goes each week. A member of the Star Citizen Addicts Anonymous thread has given a constellation model to give away. That one is very simple. A lot of you have already signed up for it. It's 1 entry only. All you have to do is send an email to theaddictedgamer@gmail.com with constellation model giveaway in the actual subject field. And then tell me what your favorite episode of Star Citizen Addicts Anonymous was. And then we're almost there. We're within 100 subscriptions of giving away the Freelancer MIS and starting the next contest as I push up to 2,000 subscribers. So thank you very much, all of you, for everything that you've done for the show, for all the feedback and comments and likes and even the dislikes. When I hear constructive criticism, I do my best to make it better. The show isn't just about me, it's about the community. I like doing it, and yes, I do get something out of it. I learn how to do them, and I learn how to improve. But you know something? I'm taking the time to contact CIG to get the information and put it out there for you all, so you don't have to. And I hope that is helpful. Thank you very much for watching. If you like the show, please remember to click the thumbs up. Comment below, tell me your thoughts. Next week, I start answering questions that I've been getting over the last couple of weeks. And I think I'm going to be doing that in my vlog. Thank you all for watching. With that said, y'all be safe out there, and I'll talk to you soon.